Before you write a single line of a code, before you pick a framework, a hosting plan, or a folder structure, there is one decision that will make or break your project, and that is architecture. Get it right and your app scales effortlessly. Get it wrong and you will be rewriting everything in 6 months. Welcome back to a brand new series, Ask the Architect. And we are kicking off episode 1 with a question every Next.js and Sitecore AI developer eventually asks. Should this page be SSR, SSG, ISR or something hybrid? In this video, we will be breaking down what is SSR, SSG, ISR and hybrid rendering actually mean. The real advantage and disadvantage of each real world use cases, the exact question you need to answer before choosing a strategy. By the end, you won't just know the definition, you will know exactly how to decide. Welcome to my digital diaries, where we simplify site core, architecture and everything in between. Stick around till the end, and if you like this video, please click on a like button to share it with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any new episode. Let's start. Every Next.js page you build has to answer one question. When should this page be generated? Let's break it down one strategy at a time. Let's start with SSG, Static Site Generation. Here is how it works at build time. Your source content from a CMS or a markdown goes through a build process. This renders every page once ahead of a time. The result, static HTML files, one per page, deploy straight to the CDN. Now at a request time, here is where the magic happens. A visitor requests the page, the CDN simply serves the cached HTML. No server computation needed. The response is instant under 50 milliseconds. But remember, the same HTML is served to every visitor. Content stays frozen until the next build. Now let's flip to the opposite end, SSR, server-side rendering. Unlike SSG, this repeats fully for every single visitor. A visitor requests the page, the server receives the request, reading cookies, geolocation, identity, then the server fetches the fresh data from a CMS, database or personalization engine. The HTML is rendered on the fly, built fresh just for this one request, and finally the response is sent to the visitor. The trade-off, fresh HTML every single time. But that means a higher TTFB. So can we get the speed of SSG with the freshness of SSR? That's exactly what ISR resolves. The page is built once, say with a revalidated time of 300 seconds. It cached at the CDN just like SSG for now. If a visitor arrives within that window before 5 minutes pass, they get an instant cached response around 50 milliseconds. No regeneration needed. But what happens after the window expires? The visitor still gets the stale page served instantly, old content but fast. Meanwhile, in the background, the page regenerates so the next visitor gets a fresh page. That's the power of ISR, near static speed with a content that never stays stale for too long. And finally, the fourth option, and that is a hybrid approach. Here is the real question. Do you have to choose just one strategy for your entire app? No. And this is where the hybrid approach comes in. In single Next.js application, one code base, one deploy, every route can pick its own strategy based on how its content behaves. Your about or a blog page rarely changes, right? Your about and blog pages rarely changes, so it uses SSG. Your product listing page, prices and stock refresh often, so perfect for ISR. Your cart or a checkout page, fully user specific, that needs SSR. And your product detail page, a mix, ISR shell with a client side widget for CDP. So the real skill isn't picking up one rendering strategy, it's knowing which strategy fits which route. We have covered SSG, SSR and ISR, but you have probably thinking, what about CSR, client side rendering? Let's talk about it. Here is how CSR works. At the request time for every visitor, the server sends a near empty HTML shell. Just the HTML skeleton and JS bundle, nothing meaningful yet. The browser then downloads that JS bundle. Meanwhile, the visitor sees a blank page. Once the JS load, the browser fetches data client side, an API or CDP call straight from the browser. Only then does the content render visible after a delay and empty to crawlers. So to sum up, nothing is pre-render on the server at all. Everything happens after the fact in the browser. So when should you use CSR? Only for a small isolated widget inside a page that's already fast. Think a recommendation rail or a live chat window. Never for the whole page. Now here is the important question. Why aren't we comparing CSR alongside SSG, SSR and ISR? Because those three are page level, route level strategies. They all are answer one question: how does this entire route get its HTML? CSR doesn't answer that question, not in a modern Next.js or JSS app. It answers a different question. How does this one component update after the page is already fast and crawlable? If we put CSR next to SSR and ISR as a fourth equal option, we reach the exact problem it causes: poor SEO, blank page flicker, personalization or CDP calls running after paint. So here is the honest comparison. It's 3-page level strategy: SSG, SSR and ISR. CSR plays a different role entirely. So next we will look at how to actually choose between these three: SSG, SSR and ISR for your specific route. We know what SSG, SSR, ISR and hybrid are, but every architectural decision comes down to a trade-off. So let's go strategy by strategy, the good and the bad thing. Start up with SSG, static site generation. Let's start with the advantage. SSG gives you fastest TTFB around 50 milliseconds. That's an unparalleled speed, perfect for blogs, marketing content, and it also the cheapest to host since you are just serving static files. And because pages are pre-built, you get the best SEO consistency. Now what is the disadvantage in this? Content stays frozen until the next rebuild. You can't personalize per visitor, not without client-side patching. And for a large site, this means long build times, so blazing fast but rigid. Let's go with SSR. The biggest advantage of SSR: freshest data possible. Every byte is generated per request, which makes SSR ideal for personalized user-specific content. But that freshness comes at a cost. SSR has the highest server load. There is no CDN full page caching, and TTFB sits around 200 to 500 milliseconds, making it the slowest of the three. So always fresh, but always working harder for it. Then let's talk about incremental static regeneration. This one tries to get the best of both worlds. It combines the speed of SSG with periodic freshness. It scales well for a large catalogs, things like product listing, and needs no full rebuild to stay updated. What about the cache here? ISR can serve stale data within that revalidation window, and it's not suitable for truly per user content. since the same cached page goes to everyone until it regenerates. So a great middle ground, but not a silver bullet. And finally, hybrid approach. Partial page pre-rendering. This is genuinely the best of both. You get static shell speed combined with dynamic personalization in specific zone of the same page. But it's not without trade-offs. It comes with a more complex mental model to design and debug, and especially not production stable yet. So powerful but still maturing. So let's zoom out for a second. SSG blazing fast but frozen content. SSR always fresh but the heaviest to run. ISR a smart middle ground but can serve stale data, and hybrid or a PPR the most powerful option but also the most complex, and it is still maturing. So there is no single best strategy here. There is only the right strategy for your route. Now let's map each strategy to the pages you actually build every day. Start with SSG. Think marketing pages, landing pages, blog articles, documentation, about us pages. What's common across all of this? Content that rarely changes. You publish it once, maybe update it once in a month, so there is no reason to regenerate it for every single visitor. So SSG is the natural choice for this. Next, SSR. This is your dashboard, account pages, checkout flow, and personalized driven landing pages. The key phrase here is the variant must be resolved per visitor, meaning no two visitors should see the exact same HTML. Your dashboard is yours. Your checkout page reflects your cart. That's not something you can pre-build. It has to be rendered fresh on every request. Now ISR. Think product listing pages where prices and inventory updates periodically, and product detail pages where you want fresh product info but without triggering a full site rebuild every time. This is where ISR shine. You don't need real-time per visitor freshness like SSR. You just need periodic freshness. Every few minutes is enough so you get near SSG speed without stale content sticking around too long. And finally, hybrid. Here is a great real world example, a shopping cart. The cart icon itself uses CSR for instant update the moment you add an item, but the rest of the page statistically shelled, fast, pre-built and cached. So even within a single page, different parts can follow different rules based on what they actually need. So here is the pattern to remember. First, rarely changes SSG, must be per visitor SSR, changes periodically ISR, mix need on one page, then hybrid. In the next part, we will turn this into a simple checklist. We will see the exact question to ask before you pick a strategy for your route. We covered what each strategy is, their trade-offs and real use cases. But when you are actually starting at a new route in your app, how do you decide? So here are some questions. Ask this in order and the right strategy almost speaks itself. Question 1. Is the content the same for every visitor or does it vary by segment or identity? Here is your rule of thumb. User specific content go SSR. Public and stable content go SSG. Public but frequently updated go ISR. This one question almost eliminates half of your options. Question 2. Does this route carry a personalized decision call? Personalization needs request context, cookies, geo, behavior resolved before or during render, and here is the catch. SSG alone can't do this. If personalization is in play, you're already looking at SSR or SSG paired with a client-side patching. Question 3. How often does the underlying content change? Daily or hourly changes, then ISR, near real time changes, then SSR, and rarely changes SSG. This is really about matching your rendering strategy to your content's actual rhythm. Question 4. What's your acceptable staleness window? Remember, ISR trades absolute freshness for speed. So ask your business directly, is a 60-second or a 5-minute stale window actually acceptable? If yes, then ISR is a great fit. If not, you need SSR. What's the expected traffic volume and scale on this route? Here is the scenario worth remembering. High traffic plus personalized, in that case, don't default to SSR on every single hit. That will crush your server. Instead, consider a cache after first generation pattern, closer to ISR behavior even for a personalized content. Question 6. Does the page needs to be crawlable or is it SEO critical? SSG and ISR guarantee crawlable HTML. Search engines are see fully rendered content, but pure client-side personalization that risk SEO gaps. Crawlers may see an empty shell instead of real content. Question 7. Is CDP tracking or consent required before rendering? This affects where your personalization logic lives, in edge middleware, meaning pre-render, or in a client SDK, meaning post-render. And here is a trade-off. Client SDK approaches can cause flicker since personalization kicks in after the page has already painted. And finally, the question 8. What's your hosting platform edge capability? This one often overlooked. Platform like Vercel or Sitecore Edge support middleware based SSR really well, but always verify your host before committing your entire architecture to an SSR heavy strategy. So 8 question: content variability, personalized need, change frequency, staleness tolerance, traffic scale, SEO criticality, consent timing, and hosting capability. Answer this honestly for every route, and you won't just be guessing between SSR, SSG, ISR, and hybrid. You will be architecting it. And that's the episode 1. If this helped, hit like, share it with your teams, and subscribe to my digital diaries. You can also join our community and tell me what's the next architectural decision you want me to cover. Drop it in comments. I will pick future episode from your questions. See you next time. Thank you.